Inventory's up, rates have dropped, and everyone in Langley is asking the same question. Should I buy now or wait for 2026? Today, I'm breaking down what's actually happening in Langley's market right now and what could change in 2026, along with a clear roadmap to help you make the right decision. I'm Matt Romero with Angle Invokers, and I help buyers, sellers, and families across Langley and the Fraser Valley make confident long-term real estate decisions. Now let's dive in. First, let's start with the data, because this is what sets the tone for everything else. In Langley, we're currently in what I would say is a buyer's market. Rates have improved over 2025, but the demand hasn't caught up. Inventory still remains high, and the absorption rate is quite low. I remember last year around this time, there was a lot of hype and excitement, and I think a lot of positivity around 2025, and it really hasn't lived up to what everybody was expecting. So let's take a look at the stats. These are going to be the numbers from October. I'm still waiting for the November stats, which I should have next week, and I'll have a separate video on that. But for now, let's look at the last 30 days along with October stats. So starting with detached. In October, there were 79 sales, and that was up 16% month over month. Now, in the last 30 days, there's been 31 sales out of 673 active listings. So that's very low absorption. Townhouses, there was 71 sales in October, and that was up 20% month over month. In the last 30 days, there's been 40 sales with 393 active listings. And then condos, there was 75 sales in October, which was up 14% month over month. And then in the last 30 days, there's been 42 sales out of 502 active listings. So this is a lot of supply on the market. And condos are one of those areas where you can get some really good deals right now. So let's take a look at what's happened to inventory over the last year. So this is, again, year over year stats from October 2024 to October 2025. Townhouses up 43% and condos are up 25%. So this just means that buyers have tons of choice right now in the market. And then if we look at just the benchmark prices for October, we have detached houses coming in at $1,551,000. Townhomes, $833,000. And then the average condo price is $578,000. And these are all trending down month over month. So what this means for buyers is that buyers have more control right now than they've had in years. There's more selection, less competition, softer pricing, and that means there's a lot of negotiation leverage on price and favorable terms for buyers. Heading into 2026, we could see prices fall even further. And this is because every month we're seeing new sales hit the market, which is setting new precedents for pricing, and sellers' expectations are finally starting to drop because they're seeing sales in their neighborhood that are direct comparable to their home. That, along with high inventory, keeps pressure down, and that means prices should drop a little bit more. Along with that, sellers right now, especially if they're listed on the market right now, have real motivation. So what are these motivating factors that we might see on the market right now? Well, job relocation, payment stress, subject to sale deadlines for a home that they haven't accepted offer on, divorce, downsizing, big life changes. And then this ties into one of the biggest opportunities that buyers have right now. I always say that the best deals are usually found in August and December. These are typically the slowest months in real estate. Think August, you're busy at the beach. Agents are taking time off with their family, enjoying summer. And the same goes for December. Everybody starts focusing on the holiday season, Christmas shopping, family dinners. So a lot of the time, sellers don't want to be in a position where they have to show their house all the time. But if there's sellers that are on the market during the slower months, especially in December, there's usually motivating factors behind them that lead to them still being on market, and that presents some great opportunities for buyers. So with that in mind, let's break down why some buyers should seriously consider buying now before the end of 2025 instead of waiting for 2026. Seasonally, like I said, it's a slower market, which means less competition. There's typically motivated sellers that are on the market right now. We've just had some stabilization in interest rates. I don't think we see another drop this year, but it's something that you should be watching going into next year. And then along with that, It's the high inventory, high days on market that I mentioned earlier, and that leads to great opportunities for buyers. But even with all these advantages that I just listed, buying shouldn't be based on trying to time the market. I often have clients that ask me, is this the right time to buy? Should I buy right now? These are all questions that only you, the buyer, can answer because it really comes down to where you're at in your life. Have you saved up enough of a down payment? Are all your ducks in a row? Do you have a pre-approval? If you're checking off yes on many of these and you're ready to go, then sure, there's some great opportunities in the market that you can take advantage of. But don't feel pressured to buy now just so that you can save yourself some money, because at the end of the day, buying is about not timing the market, but timing your life. Now, let's flip the script. There are some buyers who absolutely should wait until 2026, and here are the reasons why. First of all, if you're a buyer that needs more clarity on rates, you may want to wait to see what happens early 2026. We have one more rate announcement this year, and then we also have the US federal announcement. And if the US does drop rates, there's a good chance that Canada could follow. Along with that, if you're waiting for more inventory, spring is typically the time of year when most sellers hold off on listing and wait for spring so that they can market their property more effectively. Now, that also leads to higher inventory. And if the buyer demand doesn't go up, along with higher inventory, that could lead to more softening in pricing. Another reason would be if you're just not financially ready right now. This is a time where you can be taking time to build up your down payment, clean up some of your debt, and strengthen your whole financial picture. If you're leaning towards waiting because some of these reasons hit home with you, then here's exactly how you should use this waiting period wisely. And this is the most important step of the process, and that is talking to a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker helps you get a clear picture on your finances, what your budget is, and then they will also give you a pre-approval. This is the most important part of the entire real estate process because they give you a clear idea on what your financial picture looks like and what your budget is. There's nothing worse than shopping blindly, looking for homes, and you fall in love with the home only to find out that it's not within your budget. So talking to a broker helps prevent heartbreak, and it allows for you to have a clear plan on how and when you can buy. They will also help you with things such as organizing all the documents that you're going to need, knowing your exact numbers so that it fits within your budget, and helping strengthen your credit score. Now that you've talked to a mortgage broker and you have a clear idea of what your budget is, step 2 is early research. Now that you have a budget in mind, you likely know what type of product you're going to be buying, and you can start researching different neighborhoods, different school catchments, what are new up and coming neighborhoods? Because at the end of the day, where you move, you want to make sure that this is a good plan for yourself for the next 3 to 5 years, if not longer. Step 3 will be talking to a realtor. Once you're in a position that you're ready to buy, you have your budget in place and your pre-approval letter ready, I highly recommend sitting down with a realtor for a buyer consultation. In this consultation, what we'll go over is the entire buying process. Especially if you're a first-time homeowner, you probably have no idea what the next steps are. So in this buyer consultation, we'll go over steps from A to Z, from looking at your first home all the way to signing documents at the notary. And we'll also highlight what common mistakes are, how to avoid them, and going over different products that fit within your budget. So here's how we make things simple. The bottom line. So the bottom line is buy now if your life is stable, the payments make sense for you, you have the savings, you have your pre-approval letter, and you want to capitalize on some great opportunities in the market. Because like I mentioned, the best deals are found in December. And if that's not you, then you should wait for 2026 if you fall under these categories. Your budget only works with a specific interest rate. You need time to strengthen your finances and build your savings. Maybe you need to boost your credit a little bit, or maybe you just want to wait to see what happens in 2026 and capitalize on the spring inventory when we typically see inventory go up. So at the end of the day, the message is don't try to time the market, because if you try to time the market, you're going to likely end up chasing the market because we can never predict when the bottom is. Time your life. The market comes second.